Welcome back to another episode of the Shine and Thrive Photography Podcast. I'm your host, Sarah Monica, and today I'm going to be diving into some hot tips for what you can include in your wedding investment guide. So, this is pretty much what you send off to couples that inquire about your wedding photography services. You either send a PDF or some kind of link to something. Maybe it's on your website hidden somewhere. But I personally send a PDF. So just so it's like a little bit separate and I can always keep it kind of updated with the design. I mean, you could do that on your website as well. Yeah, I just went the PDF route and it works well for me. But yeah, over the years, I've figured out some like tweaks to consistently add in order to help take those inquiries, those couples on a journey through getting all of the information that they need and also helping them really figure out if I'm the right photographer for them, right? Because it's so important for us photographers to make sure that our clients are also a good fit for us as well. And so I'm going to share with you how I strategically make sure that I include certain information in my wedding price guide to make sure that I'm attracting the type of clients I also want to work with, and that they read through the information and they're like, oh my God, she's literally the perfect human to document our wedding, the perfect photographer for us. So that way it can be such a fun way to start off the working relationship together that you both feel very confident that it's the right fit because they went, read through everything and they're like, okay, yes, everything speaks so like well to us. This is exactly what we're looking for. This is exactly what we want. And on top of it, I use this price guide that I send over as sort of a filter that if it speaks to someone, that it's like, I know for sure that they're my ideal client and I actually don't have to have an in-person meeting with them or like a Skype meeting with them or anything like that to make sure that they're a good fit for me. I automatically have a filter built into this. So it saves me so much time. And that way, guess what? People actually just book me over email, which is magical. And again, saves me so much time. So I highly suggest that you pay attention to all those little things that I mentioned, because maybe you'll be able to also save yourself so much time of like having those meetings that maybe aren't 100% necessary. And you'll also find yourself working with your dream couples as well. Okay, so what I'm actually going to be doing for this episode is I'm going to just visually go through my actual wedding price guide and I'm going to just talk you through it of exactly what I'm seeing, why certain things are in there. And then that way you can get some ideas of how you can design yours or update yours or tweak yours. I mean, I feel that there's always something to update every single year, as your business grows, as you grow, as you get more clarity on exactly the experience you want to offer of who your ideal client is, there's always room for improvement. And off season is such an amazing time to do that. So just to start off, I have a blank page where it just says Sarah Monica, my logo, and then it says photographer for free-spirited and adventurous couples, because that is my niche. Those are my ideal clients. And I want to make sure that everywhere that people kind of find me, have a touch point with me. So Instagram, my website, and also this price guide, they are reminded of that, that is exactly who I work well with and who I work best with. So I want to make sure to attract those people. Then the next kind of page of the PDF is a photo, a candid photo, because that's the work that I love creating, along with the actual testimonial from that couple that's in the photo. So for example, this one says, and also make sure to keep these testimonials really short and sweet. You just want someone to be able to look at it, take it in, and not be overwhelmed by a feeling like they have to read a whole paragraph, because people's attention spans are so short. And on top of that, think about how much the couple has to do on their to-do list to plan their wedding and research photographers and all of that. You want to make sure everything is quick and punchy, and every single word you have in your price guide has meaning. So it saves them time and it takes them through a much more powerful experience. So it's a short testimonial. And basically what I did is the couple, when they sent me basically how they felt about the photos, when they got the photos from me, They sent a whole paragraph, but I just kind of like took out the strongest bits and I put it into like a quick like 2-sentence testimonial, and that way it's more punchy. So this is what it says. They are amazing. I cried happy tears the whole time going through them. Thank you so much again. It's hard to express how grateful we are to have worked with you and to have these photos. And then it says their names. So again, quick and to the point. And I'm going to have testimonials sprinkled in throughout the whole PDF, and just think strategically when placing them for every testimonials to hit on a different point. So this one, for example, hits on how happy they were with the photos and how they cried happy tears the whole time and how much they loved working with me. And then another one will have like a different touch point on a specific part of the experience that they really liked with me. So you want to kind of make sure all angles are covered with all your testimonials. So that is page 2 of the PDF. And then page 3 of the PDF is actually me just sharing a little bit about me, because I write how I believe that vulnerability cultivates connection. And I pretty much wrote in this part of the PDF saying, you've told me a bit about you, so now it's my turn. Because in the contact form, I make sure to have them tell me a bit about them with like random facts and all of that. And so it's kind of a nice way for it to like even out, right? For them to have opened up to me and now I'm going to open up to them. It just like creates that like automatic space for connection and bonding and all of that. So I teach in depth on exactly how to create kind of these very fun and specific facts about yourself that are true to who you are at your core inside of my Crystal Clear marketing mini course. So I teach you strategically how to create your about page on your website, and also how you can fuse this kind of stuff in throughout, like here, like your pricing PDF, your Instagram, and all of that. So you can market your business from a place of your heart and your soul and who you are, and it'll attract people that literally connect with that part of you so effortlessly. And the most magic thing happens. You get to show up on a wedding day and be fully authentically yourself and not feel like you need permission or like you need to tiptoe around anyone. It's like the most amazing feeling. And that is when I truly believe I started creating my best work. So I'll tell you some quick little like facts about me that I share here. And I basically created these through the exercise that I teach in Crystal Clear Marketing. And if you want to get that course, you can go to sarahmonica.com/crystal clear. And it's my most affordable course and it has a big transformation in there as well. So I highly, highly suggest that you check it out. But for now, just to give you like a little bit of an idea, here are some facts that I included about me. And then I also have like photos of me that are some that are just like chill photos from my phone that are more like relatable, and also a couple professional ones. So here are the 5 facts that I included. And I included a little bit more, but I'll just stick to the 5 facts with you. So number 1, whenever I'm out of balance, crystals, sage, meditation, and being active come to my rescue. Number 2, I can't burp. I know, such a shocker. So my go-to drinks are white wine, whiskey sours, or sipping on tequila and bourbon. Also, if you like sipping on tequila, it's a rarity for those of you that are listening. DM me on Instagram right now. Be like, oh my God, I actually love tequila too. Straight. I just love sipping on it. Because everyone that I like run into, they're like, what? That's disgusting. But I literally love it. So yeah, DM me, let me know, because we would have that in common. Another fact, number 3, this is a funny one. I have been known to fake diarrhea in the bushes to get out of a ticket. And then it says story details by request only. Yes, that happened. And I got out of the ticket. And yeah, I would say I'm brave for doing that, but I was desperate. Fact number 4, I believe in unconditional love because there's no better feeling than knowing you are in each other's lives forever. Sadly, I actually watched The Bachelor in hopes of seeing 2 people fall in love. Fact number 5, I believe that the things you own end up sorry, I'm going to say it again. I believe that the things you own end up owning you. hashtag experiences over possessions. And then I go into a couple more like random facts about me. But pretty much that just like gives them a gist into my personality, who I am at my core. And I want to attract couples that like would be into this kind of stuff too. Not everybody has to be into this kind of stuff, right? Like, I don't like, it's okay if our drinks are different, or it's okay that maybe they don't meditate, but like if even one or two facts like make them laugh, or they like my sense of humor, or they're like, oh my God, that happened to me too. It like creates that connection right away. So that is page number 3, just so they can feel more connected to me. Now, moving on to page number 4 of my PDF, I have a behind the scenes photo of me actually documenting a wedding day, just so they can kind of get a sense of seeing me in action. And then I go straight, the title says your experience. So here is where it's so important to make it about, like, you already had that page that was about you, right? But you also now want to talk about them. What are they going to get from the experience with you? How are they going to feel throughout the experience? This is where you literally have the opportunity to paint the picture of how they will feel working with you, how they will feel when they flip through the photos, and how they will feel on the wedding day with you there. So I go into just a little bit of like a short paragraph. You want to make sure it's short and sweet to the point. You don't want to be fluffing it up with words like, I truly want you to have this. Like, just like make sure it, even if you get help writing this from like someone professional, like a professional writer, tell them what you want to have come across. Like, this is such an important part, because this is really where you can actually really increase your chances of someone investing in your services for their day, because this is where they get to understand, okay, what's in it for me, right? So pay attention. Again, when you're writing this, talk about how they're going to feel throughout the experience with you, either like before the wedding, during the wedding, and or after, when they finally see their photos. So for example, one quick like headline that I have on over the 2 small paragraphs that I wrote is my why. And it basically says, I want to give you the gift of being free and present on your wedding day. And this is just a part of my why, and part of like what really motivates me to document wedding days the way that I do document them. And again, I teach you in my Crystal Clear Marketing course on exactly how to dive in and figure out your deepest why, so that you can clearly express to those that, you know, are thinking about hiring you, or you want people to hire you. You can clearly express exactly what you do, why you do it, and they get clarity on feeling more connected to your work. And the beauty is that every photographer, if they take the time to dig in deep into their why, not just the surface level why of like, oh, I just want you to have memories and to cherish forever. That is like every photographer's surface level why, right? That is why we create images, right? But every single photographer has a very different core level why if you dig in deep enough. And what's beautiful is that your why will help you stand out, right? So that's what helps really get rid of like that kind of idea of the oversaturated market, right? Or that you have competition, because really no one has a story like yours. No one has a reason of getting into photography like you specifically, for whatever reason, whatever happened in your life, however that unfolded for you. And then when they hear that, they hear you opening up as an artist, being vulnerable. And on top of that, they can somehow relate to that why and be like, oh my gosh, well, that's exactly the perspective we want our photographer to have on our wedding day. We want us, like, for example, with me, couples are like, yeah, please, like, we want us to feel that we can be fully free on our wedding day, not being told what to do, and all those moments and connections fully preserved. And I go deeper into my why in the paragraphs here, but yeah, I would highly, highly suggest that you figure this out and add this into your price guide, because it will definitely take it to the next level for your potential clients to understand exactly what you have to offer. Page number 5, I have another testimonial. So I'm just going to read it out here. And it has a photo from the couple. And this is the testimonial. Every person in our family and bridal party raved about how comfortable they felt with you. Without us even noticing, you captured moments that we thought no one realized we were feeling. And now we have the images to bring those feelings back to life each time we look at them. So in this testimonial, right, they touched on how even their family and friends felt comfortable around me, which is huge, right? That is so huge because like someone could read that and be like, oh my gosh, I never even thought about that. But yeah, my family and friends, I want to make sure they feel good about around the photographer, right? So it adds that layer of like, oh, here's another reason I would want to hire this photographer, right? So that was another powerful testimonial that I sprinkled in. And then page number 6 is where I have a photo on half of the page, and then the other page has a whole list of like my favorite all-time weddings that I want to continue to attract, like that type of client, that type of vibe, that type of location. And basically, it just says full wedding day stories, gallery examples, and it says click the links below to open and view. So, for example, it says here, like Katie and Brittany at a lakeside Airbnb. And then they can click that and it's those actual words, and it'll take them to an example gallery so they can actually visually see a full wedding day, because it'll help for number one, it sets the expectations for them to see exactly how you document a full wedding day so that when they in the future get their gallery back from you, those expectations were set from the beginning and they know what a full gallery can look like. And they're not just seeing your highlight top, winning images. And then they're like, oh, I didn't realize that the full gallery would actually look like this, that you maybe wouldn't do this or wouldn't do this. So it sets expectations. And number 2, if they go through the gallery and they love it, that actually ends up cultivating so much trust within them, for you as an artist. And what ends up happening is you end up, showing up on the wedding day and they're like, you do like whatever, do what you need to do. We trust you, blah, 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 because they saw the full gallery. And so they feel like they won't have to micromanage. So that is a powerful way to do it. I have a lot of galleries here. You don't have to have too many. I would say maybe 3 to 5 minimum. I probably have like 15, but that's just because I have so many wedding galleries that I'm like obsessed with and I couldn't choose. And that way it gives people different ones to explore from different types of locations, vibes, even some destination weddings and all of that. So that is on page 6 that I think is a very powerful tactic as well. So page 7, I have my collections outlined, and I personally like calling them collections and not packages just because I am charging a higher premium price, and collection to me just sounds more special than package. So yeah, that's another little tip of like wording. You can totally change your names to collect or like the name of that page into collections instead of packages. And then I have 3 because I like to keep things very, very simple. And the strategy behind these would be a whole nother separate podcast episode. So I'm not going to go into deep, but in general, I keep things really simple. And one package just slowly builds on to the previous one. So, I just said package. One collection slowly builds onto the previous one. I feel like it's like so many photographers use the word package. And so because I just said package, I'm like, I just said package again. So it could get stuck in my head. So basically the first one, I call it the free spirited because it's tied to my like word of like my words of who I want to attract, or the type of clients I want to attract. And so that one includes me being there for them all day. So I literally say, I'm there for you all day. So it's all day coverage. It includes an online gallery with I'm just going to read it out how it says. Online gallery with your professionally edited images. And it also includes charity water. A person gets clean water for the first time in their lives. So I love adding this charity aspect. So pretty much at the end of the year, I tally up all the weddings that I had. So if I have 30 weddings, I pretty much make a donation to charity water that allows for them to provide clean water for the first time in someone's lives forever. So I pay that amount as a donation for those 30 weddings. So that's how I navigate that. And I just love how It's kind of like I got the inspiration from Tom's Shoes, how it's like buy a pair and then we'll donate a pair to someone in need. And I'm like, ooh, that's so great. I want to be able to like add that kind of something into my collections. So I did that years ago. And a lot of clients actually are like really loving that I have that in there as well. And yeah, I feel like it also, what's it called, attracts clients that have that kind of value of like helping others in alignment with mine as well. So yeah, it's a nice little bonus, feel good bonus. So the next collection up, I just add on, it includes everything I just mentioned, and then it adds on an engagement session. So it just, again, keeps everything simple, not adding too much confusion. And then the third collection, it includes everything that the middle one includes, and I'm adding on a wedding album. And it's a fine art wedding album. I get my wedding albums from Decora in Ontario, Canada. They're incredible, such an amazing company. Like, I'm very impressed with how they run their business. The album quality that they create, like, it's just, I'm so impressed with them. So yeah, those are my three collections, and they're very, very simple. They build on top of each other. And that's pretty much it for that page. And then page number 8. Oh yeah, in my collections page, I also have a photo on the page as well. I pretty much try to add as many photos as possible throughout the guide. And I personally do 80% candid photos, 20% portraits, because that is my kind of ratio of my happy place of like how I document weddings. I want to shoot 80% candids, 20% portraits. Page 8, I basically just explain here what all day coverage means. And I know it's more industry standard to charge like per hour or offer like 8 hours coverage, 10 hours coverage, 12 hours. I have done this for like 6 years now where I just offer all day coverage. I have a day rate. That's it. I design the photo timeline based on how much time I need to document their day. And that's what that includes. And it has worked so well for me. It simplifies my workflow. I love it. It's not for everybody, right? You have to make the decision that is aligned for you. Some photographers, their sweet spot of working is like a 6-hour day, a 7-hour day, and that's their happy place. For me, my happy place is being able to choose when I'm there for how long and to prioritize the story of the day. So sometimes for me, even a 12-hour day, I don't care. I'm in it. If I'm there and the story is still unfolding, I want to still stay there. So that's what works really well for me. So this is the page where I explain that, because it's not like something that they are probably used to seeing when they're getting quotes from other photographers. And this page also includes an emotional image just to, tug at their heartstrings a little bit. Okay, page 9 just includes more information about Charity Water, the charity that I donate to that is part of the collections that I just mentioned. And I basically write here, with every wedding booked with me, one person somewhere in the world gets clean water for the first time in their lives forever. And I basically also wrote out that I did my research on different charities, and I wrote that Charity Water is able to use 100% of your donation to bring clean water to people in need, since they have private donors that cover 100% of their operating and marketing costs. So pretty much what donation I make on behalf of my couples, 100% of that is going to actually helping people get clean water. And then the company has a separate pillar in their business where they have people that, what's it called, like private donors that help with the operating costs of the business and the marketing of the charity. So it's pretty legit, and I love how trustworthy they are. Okay, moving on to page 10. And yeah, you're like, holy shit, page 10. And I still have, I think this whole PDF has 20 pages, so we're halfway there. It's like, yeah, I include a lot of information, and that's just because I want to make sure all their questions are answered, that I could even think of whatever questions that they had, and that way they feel like they're like, oh my gosh, she really has her shit together. Like, we have no other questions. Pretty much that's usually what happens. They end up having no questions for me after. And they end up just being like, yes, let's do it. We're so excited. Let's book you in. Or they either say you're too out of our budget, or we've looked around other photographers and we're just going to go in a different direction. So it could be a style thing. Who knows? But yeah, it helps me make the process so much more smoother for both me and them, because we don't have to go back and forth on me answering so many questions, right? So, okay, page 10 is something that I added recently in the last year. And I basically just outline like their personalized storytelling path. So I walk them through everything that they can expect with their experience with me, um, from the point of them actually booking with me up until they receive their photos. And it's like a little step-by-step process. And I would just write out the main points of what they can expect during every point, so they can really visually see like, oh man, she has everything covered. She thought of everything. And yeah, this feels really good to us. So I love that little addition. Page 11 outlines their engagement session option. And it basically shows what the investment is. And it also shows the 3 different types of sessions that I offer for engagement sessions. So I personally like to offer 3 different types, just so that we can like more clearly nail down exactly what they're envisioning, and I can make sure it's customized to them. So I have an adventure session, a snuggle session, or a sentimental session. An adventure session would be us going anywhere outdoors. I can pick the location. Maybe it's a location that I wanted to shoot in, like a random field or forest that I feel inspired by, and we just go on an adventure through the outdoors. A snuggle session is something more indoors, like either at an Airbnb or at their place, where it's all about like being in cozy, like jammies, or being really, really just cozy in each other's arms in bed or at home. And the sentimental session is where they can go pick whatever locations mean a lot to them. They can send me a list of locations that mean a lot to them. It could be their home too, or their cottage, or a place they go to a lot, like the beach or the park, where it's like a big part of their story. So that then I can just document them, in their natural habitat. And then when they look back on the photos, they could be like, oh my gosh, yes, we used to hang out there all the time. And it brings back so many memories. So those are the 3 different types of engagement sessions I offer. So I just break that down on this page. Then moving on to page 12, I have a photo of one of my couples flipping through an album. This was just for like a video project that I did years ago, and I ended up having them there flipping through an album. I'm like, oh, do you mind if I get this photo? Because I was thinking of adding it into the price guide. So I have that there. So it's more like visually impactful to see a couple flipping through an album, right? To now have them start thinking about albums when they're when they're reading through this PDF guide. And by the way, another like side note, I know I'm going through a lot of information here, and this is me in like year 11 of my photography career. So just know that this has been a work in progress for like many years. And wherever your price guide is at right now, it's exactly where it's meant to be. Like, don't stress yourself out that you don't have everything that I've mentioned. This is just, these are ideas where you can like build off of and build on top of what you already have. And Rome wasn't built in a day, right? So just like give yourself some grace, do your best with whatever you update. And as long as you're always updating something, you're going to feel more confident and more confident about your price guide. So yeah, give yourself some grace here. And I hope that you take this as more inspiration and like a little fire under your ass to like add in some extra things into your PDF, instead of like getting down on yourself and being like, oh, I don't have that. Because that energy isn't going to help you get anywhere that you want to go. It's just going to make you feel less energized to even be in action. So just like give yourself a pat on the back with exactly where you are. And then just know that with tiny little steps, you can just keep improving it. Okay, yeah. So this page has that photo that I talked to you about. And then the header, like the header like title says, want to know something. And that is like really powerful copy, because someone will be like, well, yeah, tell me, I want to know something, right? So it just grabs their attention. And then I have a couple quick lines that say, we are in danger of having a whole generation that has no family albums because people just leave them on their computer and then suddenly they will be deleted. That's why it's so important to prioritize investing in a wedding album now, before life gets in the way. To help you decide which album you'd like, click here and I'll walk you through the options. So where it says click here, it'll actually take them to a video of me walking them through all the different album options I have so they can visually see them like virtually see them visually, and it can help them actually, order an album right away, right off the bat, right in contract. So then pages 13 and 14 are dedicated to me just showing images of the albums that I offer, the pricing, the information about them, and also a testimonial from one of my clients after they got their wedding album with a photo of them as well, which creates social proof that, oh, hey, like if they were this happy about an album, like maybe we want to think about one too. So I'm not going to go too deep into these pages because album sales strategy and all of that is like, oh my gosh, a whole nother thing. And so, yeah, just want to let you know that on page 14, or what is it here? 13 and 14, I just have all of that kind of information about albums organized into these areas. And then page number 15 is my collections add-on page. And it has a photo. Half the page has a photo of a couple, and then half the page has these add-ons listed out. And you can, anything that's like not in your collections that you can foresee couples maybe wanting to add on, or you might want to upsell. This is the spot where you can add those little details in. So even you can do things like additional photography coverage for weddings over 12 hours, and then add in your hourly rate. Photography coverage for local weekday elopements. What's your hourly rate for that? This is where you can also add in your album pricing a la carte as well, because some of my collections will 30% of them, but 2 collections don't have an album. And so if someone wants maybe all day coverage and an album, but no engagement session, this is where they would go to and add that on from here, from this little a la carte menu. So you can add in your albums. You can also add in how much it would be for a second photographer if you offer that. So yeah, that's what I have on this page. And then page number 16 for me is all like dedicated for destination weddings. And it's just like one page that I have for that because I'm still passionate about documenting those. And I want to make sure I have that information ready for those that inquire about destination weddings. And I pretty much, because I've already done so many destination weddings, I can pretty much say like where I photographed weddings to earn their trust right off the bat. Like, oh, she knows what she's doing with destination weddings. So if you've done that, make sure to mention that. If you're just starting out with destination weddings or you've never shot one before, it's okay. You don't have to include this little blurb. But as you go, as you gain experience, you can get to this point. So I pretty much write like the title of the page is destination weddings, and it has a big, beautiful photo of a couple in the middle of their ceremony in St. Lucia with the mountains in the background, which is incredible. And it says, I love photographing weddings outside of Toronto. I've documented weddings in Costa Rica, New York, Jamaica, Cuba, Spain, Iceland, St. Lucia, Mexico, France, Alberta, BC, and more. So again, it gives me a little bit credibility for them to even hire me for a destination wedding at the rate that I am charging. And then pretty much I go into giving them the details of like, this is what destination weddings start at. And it's pretty much the same starting price as my regular collections. But I go on to mention that like flight accommodation is all additional to the collection of your choice. And I always say this, and this is a really good tip for anybody that hasn't shot a destination wedding yet. I say I would arrive 2 days before your wedding so that in case of flight cancellations or delays, I have extra time to get there. Then I would leave the day after your wedding. All bookings are made by me and are non-refundable once booked. So yeah, that's a hot tip for you to make sure to book things in a way where you arrive 2 days before the wedding, because you never know what could happen. I've never been in a situation where I had a flight delay or whatever, and I had to fly in the next day. But just in case, you really want to make sure that that's covered. And I'm sure that when you state it that way, they are more than willing to pay for your extra night stay, right? Because that would be a bigger problem if you weren't able to actually document their wedding. So this is where I just have my page that's dedicated to information about destination weddings. And then the next page, page 17, is another testimonial sprinkled in. And this is like a photo that's covering the whole page. It's a full-on candid photo of the couple that's basically said what I'm about to read. They said, "Sarah, you quite literally blew it out of the water. We are over the moon with these photos. You captured so much beauty, emotion, and important connections. You're an amazing person and photographer, and to find that duo is so rare. We will forever cherish the moments we shared with you and these photos." So it's such a nice, like, powerful testimonial to have near the end of the PDF as they're reading through all this information. They've already seen the prices. It's a really, really powerful one because it touches on how they felt with me, how they felt about the photos. And on top of that, that they really like actually cherished memories with me as well, which is a very strong bonus because you always want to remind those that are reaching out to you that like the photographer is there with you all day more than any other human at your wedding. Like it's kind of nuts, right? Like the photographer spends the most time with the couple more than their family and friends even. So I always say that I'm like, you want to make sure you like your photographer, you feel fully comfortable around them because they're going to be with you there all day. And I even always say, I'm like, literally, I want to make sure you guys actually like me and feel comfortable around me. And if you don't, then I'm not the photographer for you because I don't want you to have to settle for that experience. So that's actually a really awesome, smart thing to say on your website when you're connecting with potential clients and even in your price guide PDF, because then they'll be like, oh, she's actually thinking of that too. I didn't even think of that. So yeah, just another hot tip there. And then page 18, we're almost there. This is where I just have my frequently asked questions. Again, there's a photo on this page as well. And I don't have many frequently asked questions that I haven't already addressed in the whole PDF. So mine pretty much that I'm addressing here are how many images are included. And for me, I just wrote every wedding is so unique, so the amount of photos that are delivered varies. On average, I would say about 500 photos per wedding. And this is me under promising, over delivering because my average is usually higher. My average is usually 650, but this just covers my butt just in case for some reason it's just a much smaller day, much fewer people at the wedding. So this is like a bare minimum of what I would for sure deliver. Then the second question that I'm addressing here is how does the payment schedule work? And I write, in order to officially book your date with me, I require a $3,000 retainer and a signed contract. The remaining balance is due 2 weeks after your wedding date. So anytime that I increase my prices over time, I also increase my retainer. So this could be potentially 3,500 in the future or 4,000. So that is just something that evolves over time as well. But that's what I have there for now. And then lastly, the second photographer question, because I shoot weddings all by myself. So I want to make sure that I cover this as well, because I basically address the question, do we need a second photographer? So this is what I write. Not if you book me to document your day. I shoot 99% of weddings on my own. I find that I blend in more with guests and people aren't as aware that they might have a candid picture taken of them. My goal is to make everyone feel as comfortable as possible and hardly notice me. I'm always able to photograph both the bride and the groom getting ready or hanging out because I simply go to where the guys are getting ready first for about an hour, and then I go to where the girls are getting ready for about an hour and a half. Also, I always make sure to get both the groom's reaction when seeing her for the first time and the bride walking down the aisle. I'm like a ninja. I just have the option available for those that have a wedding of 500 guests or more as a second photographer in the a la carte section. So that is how I explain that. And actually, just to be very transparent, I'm just realizing because I haven't edited this part, the Q&A part, in so long because my answers haven't really changed, especially with the second photographer. But I'm just realizing that I'm only specifically saying bride and groom, and it's not like friendly for same-sex couples that inquire with me. So I'm like, oh, that needs an update. And I'm like, oh damn, I'm bummed that I actually missed that. So yeah, that's another thing just to keep in mind, is to make sure that you're being inclusive to everybody that's reaching out to you. So I'm going to definitely update that to say, yeah, for both like for the couple. I'm just going to say the couple, right? Because that's what that is. And also, just a little hot tip. So I pretty much never, ever really, I never book weddings with 500 guests or more. So I have that second photographer there. If the off chance, like in my a la carte section, I have the second photographer there as an option for an add-on. In the off chance that somehow I have a wedding that's big and that wedding booking speaks to me and we're a great fit and like I'm gonna go shoot it, and I'm like, okay, in that scenario, like I don't feel like confident that I would be able to document so many connections between all of these people. So that's the only way I would ever shoot with another photographer. So that's why I have that mentioned in there, just in case. But then also it just paints the picture of like, okay, most likely, and everyone who's reading this PDF has either 50 guests to 200 guests at their wedding. And so if they see like, oh yeah, 500 guests or more, like, okay, we definitely don't need a second photographer. Then that way they feel confident that yeah, I'm pretty much saying, guys, you're good. You're good. You just have me. I'm here for you. And yeah. All right. Second last page. So here I have a big photo with a ton of negative space. It's a candid of a couple in the middle of speeches. She's laughing, he's crying. It's such a powerfully emotional photo. I love it. And the title says, "Are you ready for me to document this chapter in your lives?" And then it just has 3 different steps outlined so that, again, I'm directing them on a path of where I want them to go, and also painting the picture of how simple and effortless it is to work with me. So here I basically have step 1, let me know if you're in. If you've read through the whole PDF and your gut is saying, yes, this is our photographer, then shoot me back an email to let me know and we can start making it official. And then step 2, I just outline quickly the contract and the retainer, what I need from them in that point. Step number 3, the start of your experience. And I let them know what they can expect at the start of their experience from me and how we get the ball rolling. So again, it just takes them on a nice clear path and it makes it easier for them to make a decision. And lastly, I have the whole PDF finished off with a huge photo of like a couple walking up the aisle with like a ton of like flower confetti around them. So it's like a fun, happy, celebratory photo. And it pretty much, and then the title on the top says, "I can't wait to hear from you and preserve your one of a kind story." And that's pretty much it. That's where it ends. So I know I went into a lot of detail and I wanted it to. You know me, I like going in deep into things and explaining why I do certain things so that you can then decide, okay, this is why she did it. Does that fit well for me? Because I never go by the philosophy that, you know, there's one size fits all way to do business or do things in your business, right? Like you are your own unique person and artist. And so the best thing you can do is just get inspired from how other people are doing it and then figure out to do it like a way to do it your way. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love, love, love it if you could screenshot this episode and tag me at Sarah Monica Photo on Instagram. That's Sarah No H Monica with a K, and tag Shine and Thrive podcast on Instagram too. And then I could reshare that with everybody and connect with you. And thank you for sharing that. And then also, I would love to know your biggest takeaway from this episode too. So you can totally DM me, be like, oh my God, I never thought about adding that into my pricing PDF. And I'm totally going to add that in. And thank you so much for sharing. Because at the end of the day, I love connecting with each of you instead of me just speaking into the abyss through the microphone. So thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope you have an amazing day.